Getting to your comments because there are good comments. Your series are a bit boring. Try to make it more fun, like X-Tech. Now, here's the thing. I like Brent a lot. Brent's a great guy. If I do some of the stuff that he does, like make a Twitter account for my team, then I'm screwed. If I bring a team back to Quebec, oh wait, I already did that years ago. Don't trade Carlson. Would rather see you trade Nurse. Thank you for the comment, Eric. Don't worry, Tukey. I'm in year 14 or 15 with my Sharks and still haven't gone to the Cup final. Oh yeah, that just instills me with all the confidence. Ah, I see. We're still getting this comments about me changing lines, even though I've already proven in both series that are currently ongoing that that's not the reason we've been losing. I see. Carry on. Keep carrying that banner. Somebody has to. You're keeping the exact same team that constantly fails. Why? Oh, well, you know, I mean, that's true. We've had David Pastrnak for this entire series. We've had Darnell Nurse, Noah Hannafin, and Oscar Klefbom for this entire series. We've had the same goalie for this entire series. Brent Burns, Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, they're all still on this team. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I just like to keep the same team. Are you insane? Anyway, what's going on, guys? Tukey here, back again with another episode of my San Jose Sharks franchise mode series right here on NHL 20. It's been a while since I've hit you with that intro. Today, we set up this team for another season. Yay! Where we'll lose in the first round again. Yay! We left the last episode with the question of what the hell to do with the free agent class that lies ahead of us, although first and foremost, I have already sent out offers to staff members. Hopefully they all accept so that you don't have to sit there and wait for me to scroll to a max offer for an hour and a half. Now, as we pretty much all know, goaltending-wise, we're fine. Could I bring in a higher overall guy? Probably, but Alexeyev is likely to be the backup goalie next year. Eliasson has had his moments of being a solid NHL backup. I really don't think we need to waste money bringing in anybody that's more expensive. We'll be fine, and we're either going to sign Jenks or Telkvist to play in the AHL. Everything's fine on the goaltending front. Defensively is where it's interesting, because there are two major defensemen on the market right now, and you factor in who we already have. Erik Karlsson's going to stay. There really wasn't much of an argument in the comments for getting rid of him, so why do I keep the exact same team? Because if I get rid of people, people complain. If I keep people, people complain. So you got to see it from my perspective. I really can't win. But Erik Karlsson's won 5 straight Norris trophies. The concern, though, is that he's 35, but odds are we're going to see out that contract unless he retires. The big question is what to do with Noah Hannafin and Darnell Nurse. Now, technically, we could move on from those two and throw 2 major contract offers out there to both, I believe, Charlie McAvoy and Thomas Chabot, but obviously that's a major risk. The big question is what happens with the third pairing, because Foligno, Houston, Landry, and Benin might all be good to go at the NHL level. Of course, though, with that potential, there is no answer. I refuse to have anybody say that there's a perfect formula to getting medium top 4 defensemen to develop, because there isn't. You can play them in the NHL. When they're at that overall, sometimes they don't develop. You can play them in the AHL with their assigned roles. Sometimes they don't develop. We've seen examples of that in this series, and especially in the Draft to Glory series. So it's a shot in the dark in hoping that a lot of these players end up developing. And of course, we did just get Landry. We got Hoagland. There's a lot of opportunity for somebody to develop. But yeah, odds are we are going to try to make a splash in free agency for a defenseman. At least 1, maybe 2. I mean, if we want to bet on Landry not being ready and Benin playing down in the AHL, that means Foligno and Houston will be making this team. Case in point with Houston, I mean, he's 22 years old and, played in the NHL last year and isn't any better. So that's fun. Forward-wise is where it's also a little bit interesting, because obviously our top line's set in stone, but there is somebody the caliber of Vitaly Kravtsov there. I'm still on the side of saying, like, sure, we can bring in Kravtsov, but who the hell is going to have to sit? Because we did. People wanted me to play Heinen in the NHL last year. We bring in someone like Kravtsov, it's going to be tough to find a spot for him. There is the argument potentially of trading Logan Couture. People have made that argument already. I'm not totally against it, but again, if I move Logan Couture, people are going to be like, well, why'd you move Logan Couture? He's been fine. Although, obviously, the point differential between this past season and the year before is a little bit rough, and he didn't exactly perform in the playoffs. There are options. That's the only way to phrase it. We have $17 million in cap space. We could look to move somebody, maybe a Darnell Nurse, maybe a Logan Couture, to try and bring in somebody even better. But again, that's a huge risk if the player doesn't re-sign. So again, goaltending-wise, we have our goalie. I know some people are probably like, nope, trade your goalie, bring in Ottinger, it's fine. I'm not going to do that. We're sticking with our guy. And again, in terms of a backup, I really see no reason to pay any of these goaltenders an exorbitant, I can't say the word, exorbitant amount of money just to probably shit the bed, which is what they always do. So defensively, I mean, obviously we're not exactly looking at a 36-year-old PK Subban. Chychrun's there as a decent to okay option. Same with Theodore, and of course we let go of Clefbaum with how much money he's looking for. The two names that people are interested in is Thomas Chabot and Charlie McAvoy. Obviously, though, that's a lot of money to commit to. HOTSAM Bacho is a 40 to 50 point defenseman. He's been on a brutal Ottawa team for the majority of this time. Charlie McAvoy, on the other hand, more consistently a 40-point defenseman. Now, in terms of the attributes, puck skills goes to Chabot, offensive awareness goes to Chabot. The shot, I would actually give the McAvoy. It's about even, actually. Defensively, it's about even. Skating-wise, McAvoy's a bit better. I mean, there's really no reason to not go for Thomas Chabot. I love me some Charlie McAvoy, but HOTSAM Bacho's the guy to go for here. And, I mean, if we're going to go big, we might as well go big. I mean, we've seen the example of bringing in a veteran defenseman like Chris Letang in the past. But, yeah, PK, he is not what he used to be. There might be a career revival there, but I'm good. Now, we don't know for sure that Chabot fits in with this defense. Here's hoping. And then I'm just intrigued to look at Chychrun, who is not a point getter. Well, actually, he had a really good season once he got traded to Detroit. Still, I mean, he's about where Clefbaum was in terms of his ability to put up points. And then Shea Theodore is also not that bad. So the thought here, right, is say we keep Nurse, say we keep Hanifin. Those two ideally as DFD. I mean, in a way, I'd almost rather get rid of Noah Hanifin. I mean, both of those two defensemen that we already have on the roster are decent offensively as well. I do love me some Nick Hague. Rebuilding Hockey Town legend. I need to get me a Nick Hague Golden Knights jersey. I really do. If we have Hanifin, Karlsson, Chabot, and Nurse as our top four, how could it possibly fail? I say that. This game will prove me wrong. The issue here is money. He would essentially be replacing Erik Karlsson. That's basically what we'd be getting Chabot for. He would be the built-in Karlsson replacement. If anything, he'd be getting paid a little bit more. But I think about what Thomas Chabot could do on this team. Having another immediate Erik Karlsson, that's too good to pass up. I'd want to get him for that 7th year, too. It'd be a $12 million contract. The bright side with McAvoy is that there's no competition right now, but it's really not going to help all that much. I think defensively we're pretty much committed to Darnell Nurse and Noah Hanifin. I know that they're both being paid a lot. We'll have two $11 million defensemen and two $6 million defensemen. It's a very expensive defense, obviously, but we wouldn't even save that much money bringing in someone like Nick Hague. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make a move to be able to get Vitaly Kravtsov. I don't. Mark Scheifele's 32 at this point. I don't disagree that bringing in someone the caliber of Kravtsov is a bad move. I mean, obviously, it's not. He has back-to-back he basically has had 4 40-goal seasons already, and that's mainly because computer-generated players do so goddamn well, or created players do so goddamn well in the sim. They have for a while. He's the guy to get. Everyone else, I mean, Rasmus Asplin's not that bad, but I mean, I know there's only actually, he's on a very interesting setup. He's not a big point getter, though, which is shocking. He doesn't have shot accuracy. The offensive awareness and the passing is great. I almost wonder how good of a deal that would be. And even someone like Taylor Radish, you look at how little money some of these guys are looking for. Jesus. Radish is looking for nothing. Riley Tufte is looking for nothing. I mean, we do need another heavy hitter over depth. Like, we have depth with the youth, but Jesus Christ, with some of the contracts those guys are on, it doesn't make any sense to not get them. It really doesn't. It's just money-wise, balancing these contracts, and Logan Couture just seems like the obvious guy to get rid of. And I think I have to. Because like I said, defensively, it's too big of a risk to get rid of Hannafin or Nurse for somebody else. It just is. But we get rid of Couture, replace him with Kravtsov, and then again, the top nine's pretty much already sorted. Although I wouldn't be against cheesing the AI necessarily and bringing in Tufte on a nothing deal and even having him as a healthy scratch. Logan Couture's got to be traded. It's the only way, because we're going after Thomas Chabot and the money's going to run out too quickly. Couture's not bad, but we can get better, and we have to try to. And even if we miss out on the big-time signing, it's just, you know, we have the depth at forward to overcome it. So the Florida Panthers are willing to offer a first and a second. Also a prospect by the name of Khan. You have Schlappick. I mean, I'd rather go for the first because who knows what the hell that could be. Could even be a boat. You got Bathgate, New Jersey, Philly also offering. Philly is a first and a second as well. So it's Florida or Philadelphia. Logan, you deserve to stay in a nice warm climate. We're going to send you out to the Florida Panthers. I think that's the way to do it, unless Philly is a little bit more interesting. Florida is listed as a contender. Philly also listed as a contender. Let's send him to Florida. Let's do it. Although, just a look, Khan, yeah, no, definitely worth the draft pick. Let's see if we can tack on something a little bit extra, because the AI does like to undersell you just a little bit when relying on the trade finder. And I'm actually not even going to be able to get that much back. I might get a sixth if I'm lucky. If this doesn't go through, I don't really care about the seventh. There we go. It's the end of an era. Logan Couture is gone. It had to be done, because we're going to make a big play in free agency. I don't know, man. It sucks, but really there's not that many holdouts left from the starting roster. And it sucks to see all of these players go without winning anything. We are going to send Thomas Chabot a $7 by $12 million per year offer to try and outbid the Leafs and the Coyotes. And then forward-wise, obviously we have another $12 million left to spend. We are going to target Vitaly Kravtsov. And I'm going to hope that 10 by 7 is enough. And we are also going to send a contract offer to Riley Tufte, because I feel like for as cheap of a deal as that is, we would be idiots not to. His attributes are incredibly odd. The low offensive awareness, but he has amazing skating, very physical. No doubt he could be a useful player for us. I'm going to offer him a little bit more, and that would be a steal of a deal. And then again, I do like Taylor Radish as well at that price. Even Eeli Tolvanen. I mean, there are some decent overall guys who aren't looking for anything money-wise. So we'll see what happens with those three big contracts, or the two big contracts and the Tufte contract. Let's see how this goes down. As we've seen another trade, Roman Yossi's been dealt to Carolina along with a 5th for a first-round pick. Let's see how this goes. So I did try to bring back Brent Burns. He's refusing to sign. We did bring in A.J. Eastwood as an assistant. He was the highest-rated coach available. Marcel Dandino is also now a staff member for us. Let me go back to coaching staff here. And I think we only have one person to sign. We have an offer out for a goalie coach. So the good thing is we brought in Eastwood. He's good with veterans. So we have one hell of a balance. Obviously, I know it's very forward focused in the AHL. And yes, there is a chance that could backfire. So you know what? We are actually, I hate to do it, but we're going to fire Claude Giroux. And we're going to try to bring in an AHL specialty here. So we need an NHL goalie coach. I'm not sure who that is going to be. No idea who that's going to be. We already sent that offer out to Letowski. I'm going to try to sign this guy up as our AHL head coach. Good chance it's not going to go through because he wants an NHL job, but if we do sign him up, it's possible, obviously. Clifford Doan is currently in the AHL for us, even though he was our head coach for a while. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to scroll to the max offer here. But, I mean, if we can get this guy, the benefit to the AHLers would be absolutely insane. And then, again, Burnsy won't come back. Is there another relatively high-rated goalie specialist? It's not looking like it. Please, please, please. I need a goalie specialist who doesn't have a brutal grade. And that's why I really wanted to bring back Burnsy, but he doesn't want to come back. Holy crap. Gagne. Screw it. Pierre Gagne, will you be my NHL goalie coach? That is the question. So we'll look to max out that offer. Sweet. All right, back to worrying what we really do need to worry about. That being the big-time offers, as there's the announcement of Claude Giroux being fired. Letowski signed. He's now a goalie coach. We also signed some scouts that we're going to have to worry about. We should be getting news here. Mitch McClellan, that dude rejected. Not surprising. Gagne, I guess I screwed up the offer. Damn it. Come on, man. I just want to hear from the big free agents. We need to fill out an AHL head coaching job and an AHL goalie coaching job. So the top defensive specialist is Boss. Steve Boss of Boss Enterprises and Associates. Please accept that deal. And the goalie coach, I'm just going to see who has the best teaching stat. Why not? So, somebody up. Let's see. It's either Bartek, Parento, Schroeder, Olvecki. We'll go for Maltby, who has a C-. We'll send him a little bit more money. That should be good to go. Hopefully. Please don't make me max out the offer. And we're about to find out if Thomas Chabot and Vitaly Kravtsov are going to be San Jose Sharks next season. If not, well, that risky Logan Couture trade will come back to haunt us. Thomas Chabot is a Shark. Vitaly Kravtsov is a Shark. Riley Tufte, and that lucrative contract of his, is a Shark. Kevin Labanc, I really wanted you to work, but that is bullshit. A first and one of my top prospects for Kevin Labanc. How good is he? I need to know. How good is he? I mean, again, we're talking about a medium elite and a first-round pick. You better be a 97. You're an 88. That's actually better than I thought. You know, that's actually not a horrific trade. Kevin Labanc did very well last year, so Dallas is trying to make the most of that. Fair play. 30-goal season? Fair play, actually. Not the most outrageous trade I've seen. I get sent outrageous trades on Twitter every single day. So, all those free agent signings worked out for us. We have $4 million in cap space. So not enough to make too many crazy moves, but you're now looking at a team that has Pasternak, Meyer, Hurdle, Kravtsov, Gambrell, and Tufte, Perfetti, Sillinger, Foudy. I still don't know what I'm going to do with Riley Tufte because Ellison needs to play, and he's not a fourth liner. I know he's listed as a fourth liner, but he's not a fourth liner. He had 22 goals last year. Then you factor in Heinonen, and then probably Gregor. as the guys that are here. So somebody half decent is going to be on the outside looking in. That's just the way it's going to work out. But while we have the funds, I don't know if I'm going to bring anybody else in. Because again, that top four, that defensive core is insane. You know, we reunite Shabbat and Carlson. And then again, that third pairing Foligno and Houston, we should be fine. It's pretty straightforward. And then 1, 2. We need to sign us some defensemen for sure. And take one more look at the free agent list. And see what we're dealing with. So I mute the mic to clear my throat because it wasn't pleasant. McAvoy's finally getting offers, so let's see what we have. Again, there's really nobody there that I want to send a big deal to. I'd rather focus on trying to develop people. So who do we have? Let's look at some vets that we could bring in for the AHL side. Brendan Smith. You have some gall asking for a 2-year deal. Who else do we want to go for? Dmitry Kulikov. Sign you up. Christian Folan. Sign you up as well. Who else has a decent rating? Nick Jensen, though. Ben Sherratt. Sign him up. Oh, God. Good old Nick Jensen. And I think Tim Heed will be the last one for the moment. He just refuses to go anywhere else. He'll be staying here forever and ever. Amen. Wow, Josh Manson declined. That is insane. He just fell off the face of the earth. And then for forwards, Patrick Hornqvist. Absolutely. Let's sign him up. Andrei Kopitar. Not the most interesting way. I was going to say intriguing and interesting. It came out interesting. Not the most intriguing way for him to retire, but, you know, we'll do what we can. Gustav Nyquist, hat-trick hero lately. Bring him in. JT Brown. JT Brown. Sign him up as well. And we'll hold off for the moment. Let those offers go through. And then see what we're dealing with. So, Maltby signed. We need that other staff member to sign. There we go. So we're good on staff members. Zach Aston Reese in a third for 2 players. I guess that's Jacob Larson on defense. Kulikov signed. Nyquist, Kopitar, Brown, Sherratt, Folan, Smith, Hornqvist, Heed, Jensen. All signed. Andrew Shaw is going to Pittsburgh, essentially for a 2nd-round pick. Bold strategy, Cotton, as we get offered a trade that it would involve us getting rid of our 1st-round pick, which is absolutely not going to happen. So we have 12 roster spots left. What are we dealing with here? What are we dealing with? So, I mean, AHL forwards. We still need to wait for Chekhovich to sign. For the most part, we're good. I got to go out and sign like 1 or 2 forwards. It's not that bad. And then defensively, we're pretty much okay. I shouldn't have the AI auto-sign people for me, at least to the AHL team. So we're going to sim the next season. We're going to see what kind of player development occurs. Alex Holtz. You know, I've seen him lose enough in one series. I don't need to see him lose even more. Don't need to see him lose even more. So, yeah, I'll pass. Hopefully that stops spamming me with offers. Chekhovich gets an offer from the Habs. We'd get a 3rd-round pick for him. I really like Ivan Chekhovich, but we're going to take that compensation. We're going to get a 3rd-round pick from the Habs as we let Chekhovich go. Damn shame, but there really is no space for him, especially now that we've signed Riley Tufte. As teams are making trades left and right this offseason. Left and right. But the question for me, the only thing I'm worried about, is what kind of player development will we see, particularly from defensemen, as we move into the 2025-2026 season. I was wrong. It did sign a random-ass defenseman to the Barracuda for us. So, let's take a look here. Goaltending-wise, it's Gustafsson at an 87, and Eliasson. Alexiev's an 80, and then Tavares Jenks probably should be an NHL goalie. The important thing here, though, is that Tellqvist gets to play. That's the truly important thing. Tellqvist needs to be an AHL starter. There is, though, the argument of would he develop, in a better fashion by leaving him unsigned versus playing him in the AHL. People swear by both. It's just, I don't even know how much it matters. Because of how goddamn random it seems. So it might not be the worst idea to leave Tellqvist. Although this AHL team could go pretty far. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be aggressive in his development. We're going to sign him. He is going to be our AHL starter this season. Which means I need to make a quick move amongst the goaltenders. This team is probably not yet close to being set. So I want to find a deal for both Jenks and Tavares because I really don't plan on using them. Can I just find a deal for Tavares? Apparently not. Let's go find a manual trade, shall we? Can never be easy. Can never, ever, ever be easy. Damn shame. So, again, goalie-wise, we're going to carry both Alexeyev and Eliasson on the NHL roster just until we see how good Alexeyev is. If he struggles, send him down to the AHL for one more season. I do not believe he would be affected by waivers. He would not be. Perfect for the Lithuanian. So indeed, Tavares is going to be dealt. I'm just going to move Jenks now. There's really no point in not. Buffalo or Boston? Buffalo works. Buffalo works. Can I get a third? A third might actually be a bit low. Can I get a second round pick from the Sabres? Never mind. A third might have actually been perfect. Can I get a third for the Sabres? From the Sabres? No, I can't. Is there a team that's interested in either of them? I'm going to guess no. And indeed, that is the answer. All right, screw it. I'll take a fourth. I don't care. Just let me get something for him. I can't believe this. Boston? You don't even want to move anything. All right, no wonder why I couldn't find me a trade. Carolina, third round pick, please. Damn it. They're going to hit me with the same thing. We might actually be stuck here, which, nope, there we go. Fourth round pick, I'll take it. Because again, I don't want to have to deal with turning off auto-rotate goalies. So we need a goalie that is lower than a 73 overall to make sure that our new Finnish friend is the AHL starter. So for the hell of it, let's look at two-way deals and let's look at vets. That might be fun to sign, like Pavel Francouz. Dustin Tokarski, who's terrible. It's either Mikko Koskinen, you've made enough money in your career, buddy. Let's go for, it's got to be him, though, because Francouz is too good. Yep. That's, Mikko Koskinen. Congratulations. He's actually been pretty damn good this year for the Oilers. I was shocked when I looked at his stat line recently. Defenseman. That's the next question. Good old defenseman. So we have Chabot, Carlson, Hannafin, Nurse, who's down. That might be a morale thing, though. Regardless, he's still fine. He's overpaid for this season, if anything, but he should be fine. He's going to be playing next to either Chabot or Carlson. Foligno's up. Houston is there as well. You could make the argument of Houston being a minor leaguer. Benin as well. Then Landry is an OHLer, so we couldn't sign him anyway. Hoagland, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be aggressive in trying to get these guys to develop. I'm going to sign him early. Nikulin will hold off on, but I'm going to sign him early. So let's go set up the defense as well. And, of course, we'll save the in-depth forward core look for last. So goalie-wise, again, Alexeyev will be called up when he can be. Defensively, it's Chabot, Carlson, Hannafin, Nurse, Foligno. Maybe Houston down in the minors? I feel like we have to try and give Houston or Benin the opportunity. Because otherwise, I don't really know what I'd do. We do have some money options, though. Let me go back and look at this. So, obviously, Chabot and Carlson are OFDs. No doubt. Noah Hannafin could be, I mean, obviously, could be a decent two-way. Set him up as a DFD. Same with Darnell Nurse. Could be a decent two-way. Set him up as a DFD. Foligno's definitely a defensive defenseman. So we would want... That's a tough call, actually. Shabbat needs to be with a DFD. Could be with a two-way. We don't actually, but these two have to necessarily optimize it. It could be OFD two-way, OFD two-way. I'm going to need an offensive defenseman here, though, to go alongside Foligno for that boost. Matt Bennon's a decent offensive defenseman. You can make the argument what's best for the sake of his development. He would be a decent offensive defenseman for us this year. This is the problem, just in terms of deciding where we want to hedge our bets, how we want to hedge our bets, who we're banking on, you know, to actually be decent for us. But unless there's somebody out there, and there's really not, because there's no good players left available, we're going to be banking on Matt Bennon to be the guy for us on that third pairing, which, again, I don't hate. Like, he's decent enough overall. So Houston, I think we're going to start in the minors. And for the hell of it, good old Tim Heed will be our healthy scratch for the season. Then the AHL is Houston Smith, Folin, Strimbu, Jensen, and Hoagland, which is pretty much perfect. It's not bad. And again, we have assets to go out and make moves if we have to. So then we get to the forwards. And actually, before that, let's go back over to contracts just to make sure that there's nobody else that I think would benefit from playing in the AHL this season. And there really isn't. Coyle's decent, but we're going to hold off. We'll pretty much have like a 70 be the cutoff point. So let's see what this forward core is going to look like this year. We have Pasternak, Meyer, Hurdle, Kravtsov, Gambrell, Tufte, Sillinger, Perfetti and Ellison, Foodie, Gregor, and Heinonen. It's pretty much perfect. It's pretty much perfect. And then we have backup, Chmielewski, True, Fratton, who could be given opportunities. That's pretty much the team. And thankfully, nobody overly interesting has to be scratched. Riley Tufte is going to get a chance on this team. I don't know on what line. He might be a fourth liner. He's a very expensive fourth liner, but he could get the job done. And then again, forward-wise here, we have 11. Actually, we don't have 11. How many guys do we have signed? We have 10, 11. Okay, I got to sign some forward depth really quickly. Aside from that, though, we're looking good. I mean, it's unfathomable, I would say, to see this team miss the playoffs. We're going to be back. It's just a matter of how well we do once we get there. So, Artem Anisimov, go ahead and sign you for the year. Let's bring back Lucas Radil. Why not? Mikhail Bodker, we won't let you go to waste on the free agent list. And one more dude. Who's that other dude going to be? Tanner Fritz, Magnus Pajärvi, Kyle Clifford. Kyle Clifford's only 34 at this point? Jesus Christ. Brandon Peary, Zach Cassian, Chris Wagner. So many players. Marcus Sorensen. For the morale, let's bring back Marcus Sorensen. So, well, let's sim a couple of days and see what the finalized version of this team looks like. No, thank you. I'm not trading Peterson. Koskinen signs, Anisimov, Bodker, Radil, Sorensen. There was one or two others, weren't there? Nope, apparently that's it. Never mind. So, let's take a look at the lines. Let's take a look at the lines, although quickly, Alexiev gets the bump up. Defensively, we're good. And forward-wise, we're good. Well, technically, we do need to bump up a healthy scratch of a forward, which will probably be Marcus Sorensen. It could be Patrick Hornqvist. Who's better between Hornqvist and Sorensen at this point? Let's go for Patrick Hornqvist. Why not? We almost traded for him at one point, so why not? Let's see what we got. So let's go best lines for the moment. Obviously, Hornqvist is going to be out. He's not going to be in full time. That gets Ellison into the lineup. So the fourth line, we know we have Noah Gregor. It could be him with Heinonen and Tufte. Now, we know Heinonen is listed as a minor league checking forward, but he didn't improve in the AHL. We have to give him some NHL time and hope for the best. And like I said, Perfetti, Foudy, Ellison. Ellison's listed as a fourth liner. We have to make that decision, though. It's either Connor Ellison or Riley Tufte on that fourth line. I'd still say we need to prioritize the hopeful development of Connor Ellison, who put up 32 points and 22 goals last year. But if we play him where he's supposed to be, he's on the fourth line. That leaves us with Tufte, Perfetti, Foudy, and Sillinger for potential third liners, although you could argue Cole Sillinger should be, based off of his stats, on that higher line. Tufte fits in a little bit better as that power forward option, and then you have Foudy and Perfetti. Honestly, I mean, that team right there as it stands is probably what we're rolling with. We might optimize some player types to get the better overall boosts, but that's pretty much the team. I mean, again, you take out Logan Couture, you bring in Vitaly Kravtsov, who's ridiculous and should be a power play monster, especially if he's playing next to these three. It's a really strong team. And then defensively, technically, for the love of God, if we have Chabot as a two-way, he and Carlson can be a pairing. Even then, I mean, I could just switch Chabot to an OFD and have them be on the same damn pairing, but Foligno and Bennin work out tremendously well. So like I said, you could have DFD Hannafin and DFD Nurse and split up Chabot and Carlson, which is probably for the best to have a good 1-2 punch there. We have options. But this team is filthy on paper. There's no other way to put it. This team's going to do very well in the regular season. We know this. What the hell is going to happen in the playoffs? That's the question. That is the $1 million question. We have seen teams of this caliber. I don't know if we've technically had a better version of this team at any point, but we've had teams of an extremely high caliber fail in the playoffs time and time again. That shouldn't happen this year. It really can't happen this year. I need to sign 2 defensemen, or at least 1 defenseman, 1 forward, for a little bit of extra depth. Obviously, I'll optimize the AHL lines and everything off screen, but there you go. That's this team. We do bring in 2 major free agents to try and help our cause and to hopefully get us that much closer to where we want to be, which isn't just out of the first round. It's much, much further beyond that particular round. There's so many 34-year-olds that I want to save from the obscurity of this free agent list. Who is it going to be? We could bring back Zach Hyman. He was a Shark for a while. Remember that? Good part of a team that failed in the playoffs again. He was here for 2 seasons. And in the playoffs, had 2 points in 11 games. Jesus. There actually might have been more, but still. Guys, that is going to do it for this one. I thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts as far as what you would change in terms of the setup for this team. But with the current players that we have, just to get you a look at the overall for this team, 98, 91, 85. You can't tell me this team isn't Stanley Cup caliber.